Tinubu read riot act to ministers. Good morning and welcome to the Dailies on Echo Television International. We will be keeping you updated with all that is happening on the paper, so sit tight as we go through the journey together. I will be doing this together with Rachel Tansey. Good morning, Rachel.
Morning, Celia.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How about you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. And to our viewers, we're live on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can follow us live there and also drop your comment on any of the story that is of interest to you. And we'll dive straight into the paper, starting with the Daily Sun newspaper.
On the Daily Sun newspaper, federal government evacuates 298 Nigerian irregular migrants freed from Libyan detention. You can find details of that story on page 4. The big story, Tinubu reads riot act to ministers. I will not spare incompetent officials, vows the president. Nigeria grinding to halt under you. Statement coming from the PDP. Obaseki Shaibu's field gets messier. Deputy governor's media team disbanded. You can find details on page 26. Lagdo Dam, we will mitigate flood, says environment minister. No cause for alarm, says NEMA. Edo State issues warning alert to residents in lowlands. And on 5 billion naira palliative, ex-agitators threaten protests in Niger Delta over governor's inaction. Umbato unveils $2.1 billion project pipeline as Enugu holds investment roundtable. You can find details of that meeting on page 8. Obori Obaseki Oshomole orders chart path for Niger Delta development and growth. KPMG deems Nigeria's growth prospect forecast to 2.65%. You can find more details of that forecast on page 25. Another story on the Daily Sun newspaper, federal government proves list of delegation to UNGA, orders non-inclusion of officials without role. At the downside of the paper, addressing national security challenge, collective responsibility, a statement coming from Ribadu. You can find more details on page 5. We have a picture story where we can see the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badaru, from the left, Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Saidu Alkali, second to the left, Special Advisor to the President on Energy, Mrs. Oluwi. In the middle, we have Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, at the second to the right, and Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawale, during the inaugural Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja yesterday. And that's all the news on Daily Sun newspaper.
On the Leadership newspaper, NLC give IGP 48 hours to withdraw police officers from the NURTW office. You can follow up that story on page 10. On insecurity, Badaru runs to generals for direction. You know he can do this alone, he will need the general. So you can do up to follow up more on page 4. Trending, federal government inherit bad economy with high unemployment rate. You can find that with the numbers on page 2. State brace up for mitigation measures ahead of Lagoon Dam opening. Engineers profile way out of flooding in Nigeria. And I was listening actually. It will shock you to know, Richard, that the dams have already been opened. It's not as if they are about to open. They have opened it. They sent a letter on the 21st of August to Nigeria saying that they will be opening. But they already opened the dam as of 14th of August. And they have been releasing about 2,000 cubic metric of water. So already, they had already opened their dam. And so right now, this letter is more like just officially letting you know that if the rains keep coming heavy, we will open it wider than it is presently. And I just felt it's not fair on Nigerians. Why don't we also have a way? Okay, right now we're seeing engineers are profiling a way to actually see a way out of the flooding in Nigeria. So when Cameroon opened their own dam to Nigeria, how do we get to open our own dam to which part of the country? And we saw the number of states, not less than 11 states will be affected, Richard, by this flooding eventually. Likes of Benue, Taraba, Nasarawa, and Kogi, and these are still the same states that got affected last year
time,
during the flooding. So quite a lot of things, even though we're saying that they have sent the alert to various states, telling them to go into the state governors who maybe send some of their residents, those who are living the lowlands, to the IDPs. But then, what is the condition in the IDPs? We saw during the flooding last year, a lot of governors and a lot of people took advantage of that. Those who are aspiring for one position or the other to keep giving money and come to the aid of those people that were affected. So let's just keep our fingers crossed. I'm only sad the fact that already they had opened it out of August 14th, but we're having that letter coming in as of August 21st. So it's really a sad one. So let's just keep our fingers crossed and we hope that our genius will come with more bright ideas on how
Exactly.
these waters can have other ways to go out and so that people will not be affected eventually.
Yeah, I mean, like, in as much as this feels like a breach of contract somewhere because that wasn't the agreement, and you can't start before you inform, you're supposed to let them know, and there's supposed to be some kind of approval for some reason before it happens. However, Sele, I mean, this dam didn't just started yesterday, and the release of that water did not just start happening yesterday. Now the question is for the people in charge, what have always been the precaution taken whenever a dam is going to be open? What have been those measures? Because this is an emergency response and it's supposed to be treated like
As well.
immediately and all of that. But in the past years, what have we been doing to mitigate this issue, and have we improved on it, or nothing has been done? And this is where you will see that I keep saying in every situation in Nigeria, it's almost like we're just at the tip and anything can just push us
True.
off balance. Like, what have we done for years to make sure that when these dams open, we have control over this water? It means that, of course, there is a solution. It's just left to the body in charge to have done what is needful and necessary over the years, because I want to believe that the rains have been heavy than usual in the past year and even this year so far, and that's why there's a need to release that dam in the first place. So on your own end, as a country, I'm talking about us here in Nigeria, what have we done to channel this water and control it in a way that flood doesn't happen from the onset of having such an agreement with Cameroon and all of that? So it means something that was supposed to be done since not even today or yesterday wasn't done, and that is why we are seeing the repercussion of not doing anything over the years. But I just hope that Nema say no cause for alarm, but then of course
Of course.
there is cause for alarm because you've already alerted that there will be flooding, but it's just what are you going to do as a response unit to this emergency, and how much of the destruction can you reduce that it wouldn't be that bad?
Well, Richard, let's just keep our fingers crossed and see what our engineers would do about that. Still on the leadership newspaper, to cut costs, Tinubu bars non-essential officials from UNGA. You can read more of that on page 7. Drama Sobasiki disbands Shaibu's media crew. You can find more of that story on page 18. And we have Egbetuku, the PSC, retired 4 DIJs for violating the police tradition. Troops rescue 25 kidnapped victims from terrorists in Borno. Really have to applaud our troops for doing a great job. Can read more on page 10. I won't tolerate underperformance. Tinubu wants ministers. Outlines 8 priority areas to revive early economy. You can find more of that. We can see the pictures through the president and his cabinet member meeting for the first time since they were being given the appointment. So you can do well to read more of that on page 4, and that's all on the leadership newspaper.
On Nigerian Tribune, 60,000 Nigerians killed during farmers' herders clashes since 2001. Coming from reps, you can find more details of that statistics on page 26. 85% of Nigerian graduates have no digital skills, a report, one which is of great concern and something should be done about it. You can find more details on page 8. The big story on Nigerian Tribune, federal government ends borrowing for now, FEC says. Identifies food security, access to capital, ending poverty among priority areas to deliver in 3 years, as Tinubu gives ministers marching order to revive economy. You can find details on page 5. Mining activities fell insecurity in the northwest coming from the defense minister. Nigeria suffocating under Tinubu, a statement coming from the PDP. You can read more of that statement on page 15. Lagdo Dam flood-prone state may be affected within 7 days. You can find more details on page 21. At the downside of the paper, those who live in glass houses don't throw stones, coming from legal speaker. Says assembly reserves right to expose screening reports. Obaseki slash Shaibu's field Edo deputy governor walks out of event as security officers deny aids entry. Government disbands Shaibu's media team. Feed industry hints at looming scarcity of eggs, chicken, and other livestock. You can find more details on page 12. With the current increase in the price of maize, we will keep seeing such happening. You can find more details of that story on page 12, and that's all the news on Nigerian Tribune.
We've seen
Yes,
that
they
not
are.
even the poultry farmers, even manufacturers are complaining. I mean, the
True.
lives of those making cereals and all of that. So, for those, imagine breastfeeding mothers and those that have to
Yeah,
start mixing up with other cereals for their kids. You
true.
know what that means, right? So, baby food will be more expensive
More
in the market
expensive,
right now,
yeah.
eventually. But this report, got my attention. 85% of Nigerian graduates have no digital skill. And the question I want to ask, whose responsibility is it for this graduate to actually have the digital skill? Over the years, we've seen the way our tertiary institution operate. Mostly, it's mostly about theory, 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 and then you barely even have the opportunity to have other added skills. And I remember you and I were talking about why don't we have an other curriculum that will be added,
Exactly,
especially for
Sele.
primary and secondary school. So you
Yes.
get exposed. You remember I said, okay, right now it's a summer break, and then it will shock you to know that basically what the students are learning right now is what you'll be taught first term of when you resume to school. Why don't we see if your word is eager, let us see you going into coding, computer, something that will expose the child better. But we've seen that that is the report, and no wonder a lot of Nigerians cannot match up with their age mates in other part of the country. So if this report has made it to our paper, I'm looking forward to seeing what the Minister of Education will do, working together with other ministers of other relevant sectors. So we see something different. At least by next 2 years, we should see that the number have dropped to maybe 50%. That is to show that there is progress somewhere. We are not hoping that it will change overnight, but we hope that when we see reports such as this making it to the paper, this call for an attention and it should be given such. So we hope to see more being done in regard to that report.
Of course, Sele, when you see such report, you just see a failed system of education because computer is not supposed to be a subject. Computer science is not supposed to be a subject, Sele, in the first place. Computer is just supposed to be part of the academic session, schooling, just how school runs. That's what an upgraded curriculum looks like and what it should be. And for me, with somebody else with an economy, with an education background, for example, I was privileged to find myself in a school where I was going to be an education assistant, and I was going to be an education assistant to people in elementary school and basically not yet even in high school. We're talking about some few grades before high school and all of that. And they run assignments through computer. They had basic skills of Google Classroom, spreadsheet, and all of this software and all of that. Now, these are people that haven't even made it to the tertiary. These are people, students that haven't even gone to secondary school yet, still at the primary level, and they have these skills already. So now the question is, this 85% shows clearly that we have a curriculum that not only needs review, but our schooling system needs upgrade, like massive upgrade, because it's supposed to flow. Okay, it's just supposed to flow with the school system education as it is. You shouldn't be reading computer science and then for 1 hour you're in class trying to learn how to type, trying to learn how to do Corel Draw and all of that. No, it should be part of your schooling and all of that. And that is why we will never stop making emphasis on the upgrade that our education system needs, because by now we should be so digital that somebody in elementary school are already used to certain features in software and the use of computer, that it is normal, but not as a subject, but as the part of the education process.
So that means we look forward to seeing an upgrade, and I think this is where funding is required.
Yes.
We've seen over the years, okay, very soon we'll be having the budget submitted by the president for next year.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to see that whatever allocation is being given to the educational sector, apart
Yes.
from the the ministry demanding for a huge amount of money, but we'll see that the curriculum entirely is being changed. To shock you when you go to maybe secondary school, the history note that is being read, the history note for the past 5 9 years,
Yes.
no review has been done whatsoever. So we hope to see
We hope
review,
so, yeah.
upgrade, and all this thing happening in our schools. Well, let's take a look at the Blueprint newspaper. First subsidy remover, 9,000 auto gas filling station take off in 6 months. You can find that on page 23. Troops rescue 25 hostages from Boko Haram captivity. PSC retires DIG Damalam Jatibo Hafti Adeleke. You can find that on page 5. The big story, Tinubu's tall order to ministers, fetch water from dry well, create buoyant economy. Tinubu's tall order to ministers, fetch water from dry well, create buoyant economy, six expectations high, underperform and be fired. Bring Abuja Metro Line to reality. I want to write, President tells Wike. And we also have Malagi said Nigerians will soon feel government impact, seek media support. Well, if we see them working well, of course the media are ready to give their support on that. You can find more of that story on page 6. Road crashes claim 31 lives in Adamawa in 7 months. This is a sad one. This is just in Adamawa. And then we still have other parts of the country. Over the years, we've seen accidents over and over. Lagos Ibadan Expressway, Abuja, Kaduna, and the likes of it. So more reports will be coming. So we hope that this is an assignment to the Federal Road Safety and also to other bodies on how we can improve the state of our road and other things that are claiming the lives of people. Dangote's men graduate 50 special truck drivers. We're really happy. We hope we'll see the number of accidents that happen with the Dangote truck really dropping. If they are proud to graduate about 50 special truck drivers, we hope to see that on the road. You can find more on page 23. Eboyi women to men help train our children. This is really a sad one for that story to make it to the paper. It means the men in Eboyi are not doing something, so they need to wake up to their responsibility. You can do well to read that human story on page 8. And the issue of the Cameroon Dam. Relocate now to safer ground. Federal government warn flood-prone communities. We are giving early warning on rising water level coming from the Environment Minister. Media partnerships and sanitization of drainage is critical coming from the Water Resources Minister. This is really serious as we need to have a lot of awareness on that because a lot of times flooding is as a result of our drainage has been blocked. People have turned that to be there where they drop garbages, trash and all of that. And then the water, you know the way water is, once it doesn't get a passage, it creates a way by itself because of the force. So we hope that people will take that. I mean, just this Saturday, we had sanitation here in the Plateau State. It was being observed and it was said that it was going to be strict. People should do that. And if only we had the relevant bodies really doing the checking properly, Rachel. A lot of times, all these plastic cans we see being dropped, stopping some of the waterways from passing. Even some of our rivers and streams have been blocked by garbage and the water doesn't get to pass well. Wouldn't see that happen. So I hope to see a reawakening from not just Plateau State but every country, every state, that is being being affected, because eventually whether Plateau State is there or not, flooding will definitely come because we saw the way the rains are. So we hope that the Water Resources Minister is actually talking to people. So we hope to see more partnership with the media, awareness being raised by every relevant body, and I believe the media will do its best in raising this awareness for people to know what they need to do for their drainages to be free for water to pass.
Of course, if you feel you're not even affected by this, don't create a drainage and just wait for your fence to fall. Because if you are ready to keep building fences, then fine, keep doing that. Because a lot of time people feel that they cannot be affected by these things, so they don't take it seriously. we keep feeling like it is the government's job. But while you're building your house, did you create a drainage system for water to pass? While you're fencing your house, are there drainages in front and behind your house? Did you create a water channel and all of that? And how are you personally dropping your waste? Because a lot of time plastic waste are always the issue. And so far in the plateau, we've had a body that have been having the responsibility of packing these waste and making sure they don't spoil the drainages, they don't block the drainages, because it started with the past administration, the administration before long, and it even continued with its administration. And I'm trusting that the administration of Governor Mutfwang will also take that seriously, because when the roads were constructed, they were drainages, and to some large extent there are places that were waterlogged. However, I don't see that kind of problem again anymore, because the drainages have made them easy for the water to pass. So this is everybody's responsibility. It is your community. If there is any place that waste haven't been done properly, go out this Saturday and create a way for it, because your fence is at risk. And except if you're buoyant enough in this economy to keep building fences, then you should do something about it. So this kind of work is not what you fold your arms and say is the responsibility of the government. No, we have to help secure our environment when it comes to flooding. If not, we will all pay for it at the end of the day.
Course. Well, I think that's all on the Blueprint newspaper.
On the Vanguard newspaper, KPMG downgrades Nigeria's 2023 GDP growth to 2.65%. You can find more details of that report on page 19. Obi will soon be declared Nigeria's president, Aburi tells Nigerians in U.S. Kwara CP declares man who threatened traditionalists wanted terrorist. We will manage release of water from Lagdo Dam, a statement coming from the federal government. The big story on the paper, first FEC meeting revive ailing economy, Tinubu orders ministers. List 8-point agenda gives ministers marching orders, promises not to rely on borrowing, assures of 50 million jobs, adds Nigerians have high expectation of us. Inaugural FEC meeting considers roadmap for economy presented by Finance Minister Edun. You can find details of that meeting on page 5. Navy smashes trans-border oil syndicate, arrests 5 suspects. No NYSC law stops core members from becoming minister, but this is coming from a source, and you might want to find more details on page 8. We have a column Midwest at 60, Obaseki, Obubure, Oshemola orders chart path for region development growth. Drama as Shaibu's media age are sent out of event. Details of both stories can be found on page 8 and 12. And on Niger coup, France defies junta's order for ambassador to leave Niamey. You can find more details on page 29. Investors losing confidence in economy under Tinubu, statement coming from PDP. You can find more details on page 8. And we have a picture story where we can see the in Midwest interest where Obaseki, Oboweri, Oshemole and others chart part for region development.